and speak to you, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Martin's Classic Rock Show. Very privileged to be joined by Ian Haugland, the drummer from the iconic rock band Europe. Good afternoon, Ian.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thank you. How are you?
Just fine. I'm sitting here in my living room watching an endless rain. It's been raining here for 3 days now. I'm not sure if it's going to be, like a flooding or something.
We haven't got any rain at the moment. We've had it, but it looks as if you've got it now.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much.
Right, we don't charge for it, so you're fine there.
That's good.
Right. What age were you when you started to play music? I know it's going back a long way.
Yeah, that's a long way back. Yeah, well, it was actually my sister that introduced me to the music bug, so to say. She had she was like 10 years older than me, so she had a bunch of 7-inch vinyl singles with like Beatles and Rolling Stones and those kind of bands. So I remember hearing, I have a specific memory of hearing "She Loves You" with the Beatles, and she played it to me on her little vinyl player, and I was really captured by that, the sound and the energy of the music, and so I would say that was my first introduction to music, and I might have been like 4 or 5 years old at the time, but then when I actually started playing drums was a couple of years later, because I remember one of my schoolmates had got the first Rainbow album back in, it must have been in 1975, I think, and he got the album for Christmas, and he was very proud of it, and we were friends, and he said, "Well, listen, you need to listen to this album because it's so good." So I remember going back to his place and listening to the album, and the first thing you hear is Richard Blackmore's iconic "Man on the Silver Mountain" riff, and then Ronnie James Dio joining in with his stunning voice, and from that moment I just felt like, wow, I want to be part of this, and and then actually later, 2 years, the year after, 1976, when they released Rainbow Rising, they actually came to Sweden to play live, and me and my friend went to see the show, and when I saw Cozy Powell playing his drum solo with the magnesium flashes and bombs going off to Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture that he played his drum solo to, I was just knocked out. At that moment, I realized that I want to be a drummer too. So I would say I was about 12 or 13 when I started playing drums. And, well, I've been doing that since then.
Well, I think you mentioned Cozy Powell as one of your ultimate drummers. He's been a very firm favourite of mine for quite a few years now. I don't think there's anybody to beat him. No,
I agree with you. He was absolutely one of a kind. And, the share, just the power and the energy was so audible when he played. And I remember the first time when I listened to Rainbow Rising, the first drum solo, or the first drum fill that he does into Terror Woman, for instance, and even more what he did in the beginning of Stargazer. It was just like, it was like a steam train just being run over by a steam train. It was ruthless, and he had that style. He was really powerful and really dead on the beat. Not really fancy or not too technical, but it was just power, and it was just like a roaring bear or something. And that kind of style has always appealed to me, and so I think what I heard him doing was kind of, it was the right style for me to absorb. And I mean, I still listen to him, and I still go back to the old albums and listen to him, and I think it's still as alive today as it was the first time I heard it. You know, so it's really strong, very emotional drumming.
That's very good. It's it really livens things up, doesn't it, when you got somebody that can play like that and command the stage?
Yeah. I never had the pleasure of meeting him or talk to him, but I actually got his autograph as a fan in 1977, the year after the first time I saw him with Rainbow. He was back in Stockholm with Rainbow, and I managed to get his autograph outside the venue as a real, like a fanboy. And so that was a huge moment for me. And I remember he was really nice, and he stopped and signed the autograph and everything. So it was, one of those moments that I will always remember.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Have you ever met him? But now we know.
No, I never met Cozy Powell, but I met in 1986. I met Ronnie James Dio in Japan, and we sat. I had the pleasure to sit with him at the dinner table for 2 hours, and we were just like talking. And it was basically me. I was doing most of the talking because I was just like, Rainbow was my ultimate idols, and Ronnie James Dio and Cozy Powell, which like everything was. That's where it all started for me. That was my starting point. So I had I just wanted to give my love to Ronnie, and he was also very nice. He was sitting and listening to what I said, and he explained stuff, and he told me about Cozy Powell and that he was a great guy to work with and a great drummer and everything. So that was equally as stunning, for me to be able to sit down with one of my ultimate teen idols and just to talk over a dinner. That was really amazing.
Yeah, I bet that was amazing. At least you didn't get to actually meet him, but you've got to find out a lot about him.
Exactly, and I still find out things about him. Just a couple of years ago, I played a show with a band, and Neil Murray, the bass player that played with Cozy a lot in Black Sabbath and Whitesnake. I told him about my emotional connection to Cozy Powell, and he was kind enough because after Cozy Powell passed, Neil sort of got hold of some of his stock of drumsticks and some drums. So he sent me a couple of drumsticks, actually Cozy Powell's drumsticks. So that was like, wow, amazing. My idol's drumsticks. And I remember they were thick like phone poles. I can't actually imagine how he managed to play that fast and that furious with those thick drumsticks. But he sure did.
Yeah, and he's amazing at it as well.
Yeah,
who are your musical influences?
Well, apart from Rainbow, I remember the first album that I bought for my own weekly savings was it was Sweet Fanny Adams with the Sweets. So I remember that album, and I still think it's one of the greatest albums from the 70s, hard rock albums from the 70s. It's really great. And Mick Tucker is another stunning drummer, very one of a kind drumming, and actually, probably more technical than Cozy Powell, but maybe with a more of a jazzy feel in the from the beginning. But Mick Tucker, he's one of the best. Also, in my opinion, kind of underrated compared to when you talk about the big drummers from the 70s, you always seem to mention John Bonham and Keith Moon and Ian Pace and maybe Cozy Powell, but Mick Tucker should be up there also, I think. So the Sweet was a big influence on my musical taste. And then later on, I got to hear Deep Purple. So Deep Purple was a big influence. Before I actually found out about Deep Purple before Rainbow, but it was Rainbow that really captured me. And then later after Rainbow, I got into Rush and UFO and Thin Lizzy and basically all those the big bands from the 70s, the British bands. Thinking about it, almost every band that I was influenced by were the British hard rock bands from the 70s.
Yeah, I think we've produced some brilliant bands over the years, haven't we?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I discovered Led Zeppelin like in probably early 80s. I was really late on Led Zeppelin for some reason. But I remember I was still in school, and Led Zeppelin were to play in Germany on this, what was to become their very last tour. And a friend of mine in school was going to go to Germany from Sweden to see this show, and he asked me if I wanted to join him. And we were going to go by train and sleep in a tent or something. And yeah, I wanted to do it, but my parents said, nah, it sounds a little risky. So I had a chance to, I could have had, the opportunity to see them once, but I never saw Led Zeppelin. So Led Zeppelin I discovered in 78 or 79. So I was late on that.
Yeah, another amazing band there, Led Zeppelin. I've been lucky enough to meet Andy Scott from the Sweet a couple of times, and last year he did an interview for me for my show, which was amazing.
Yeah. He seemed to be he's, I know we played on a festival in Switzerland this summer together with Sweet, but I never got the chance to meet them because they played early in the day. So when we arrived, they had already left the festival area. So, but I mean, it seems like him is keeping the heritage of Sweet together, and from what I understand, they're doing a great job too. It's a great band, and they seem to be touring constantly.
Yeah, I said, are you ever going to consider retiring? He said, I'm not going to retire until I can't do any more. We're going to keep going.
I think that's it sounds like my answer too. It's when somebody asks me how long are you going to be doing this, and I'm just saying this is what I'm doing. What I'm doing. I can't imagine doing anything else. It's not a job. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's I wake up in the morning and I think music, and I live and I breathe music, and so I can't imagine doing anything else. And if I wouldn't be doing this, I would be probably dying or dead already.
Yeah, when music's in your blood, you keep going, don't you? You don't never give up.
No, that's right. It's a constant flow of energy, and it's timeless, and it keeps you young, or it keeps you in the music universe, which is basically ageless.
Yeah, true. How many drum kits do you own?
Well, at the time I have, let me see, I got 1, 2, 3. I got 4 drum kits now. 2 Ludwig drum kits and 2 Yamaha drum kits. So at the time I'm playing a Yamaha drum kit, and actually it's got a couple of years on it now. I think I got it in when we did the first reunion tour in 2004. I got that drum kit, and great drums. It sounds awesome. So that's what I have for now, 4 kits. But I'm a little bit of a, I shouldn't say a collector, but if something interesting comes around, I'm kind of keen to get them.
Yeah. Well, I said to Andy Scott, how many guitars do you own? Well, he said if the wife was here, I'd lie to you, but he said being she's not here, he said just over 200.
Yeah. Yeah. It is amazing with when you think about guitars and the value of vintage guitars, they can be, I mean, it's absolutely crazy what I mean, like Gary Moore's Les Paul that used to be owned by Peter Green in the beginning, I guess. And it's been going through some different owners. Now I think Kirk Hammett from Metallica owns, but it's like millions of dollars that they're worth. It's absolutely crazy. A piece of wood, but there you go. It's totally crazy.
That's it, and they're all different.
Yeah, that's right. I strongly believe that when you pick up an instrument from the factory, it's basically almost like a newborn baby. It's an unwritten book. And then when you start playing that instrument, it doesn't matter if a guitar or a violin or a drum kit, but I believe that you kind of charge the instrument with your soul, the way you play it, the way you're bending the strings, or the way you just play it your style. It starts to mold and to become part of your musical soul, sort of.
That's right.
Well, if you have a guitar, if you buy a guitar that was played by Peter Green, obviously it's not going to be sounding like Peter Green when you pick it up, but it has part of Peter Green's soul, forever etched into it, sort of.
That's right.
Yeah. So they're like living beings in a way.
Yeah, once you've got them, you don't want to put them down.
No, that's true.
Did you join Europe from the beginning?
No, I didn't come in to the band until they were. I remember I saw Europe actually before they were called Europe. They were called Force, and they come from another suburb area of Stockholm than where I grew up. So I used to go to their city and see them play live. And so I saw them the first time in 1980, and I remember my first reaction on the guys. It was Joey singing, John Noren playing guitar. I'm not sure if John Levin was in the band even, and Tony Reno, the first drummer. And I remember, the impression I got from Joey Tempest and from John Noren was like, this is something else. This is so much more real than anything else I've seen. I mean, you could go and watch bands playing in pubs and everything, and they were, average musicians. This was a different level. You could just feel that this is going to be something big. So that was in 1980, and then in 1982, 2 years later, they joined this music contest that was called Rock SM, like SM for Swedish masterships. So that was like a touring music contest, and it went through Sweden and had like part competition concerts in different cities, and from every city maybe one or two bands got on to the next level. You know, like a football tournament or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so Europe won that contest in December December 1982, and then the year after they released the first album. But I didn't come into the band until after the second album, Wings of Tomorrow, in 1984, and I know I joined the band in I think it was around, because I mean I have my birthday on August 13th, and I know I had just turned I had just turned 20 when I joined the band, because when I got when I got to become a full-time member of the band, I went out to the city, you know, and bought some liquor and had a celebration. So I remember I had just turned 20 years old. So 1984, yeah, that's when I stepped in.
That's fantastic. And the rest's history.
Yeah, that's right.
What's it like as a band to prepare to go out on tour? And what's the touring life like? Very tough, I believe.
Well, you know, we I mean, doing this for almost 40 years now, we've learned, I guess, the trade, and we have a lot of people around us that that helps us, putting the whole tour together and having, with economics and all the practical things that needs to be sorted with crew members and all that. It's actually one guy. He's our tour manager, and I used to say to him every time I meet him, like, hadn't you been here, this band would not be together anymore. Because he's like he's the master planner. He has all the different holds all the different ties all the knots together and makes it work. So it's I think we learned a lot through the years how to do it. We could never have done it ourselves, but so what we do is we decide on what kind of if there's going to be a certain concept on like backdrops and lighting and everything, and then when we agree on that, we tell the lighting engineer how we want it, and then basically we just a couple of weeks before the tour starts, we get together the band, and we start going through the songs that we have decided on and setting the show together. So it's not really that much work, because we have our tour managers doing all the dirty works for us. So we don't have to bother too much about the practicalities.
Yeah, when you've got somebody that knows what they're doing, it makes a big difference, and it makes it easier for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't think we could ever have done this or survived this long without our tour manager and his help. So it's I would say once everything is put together, the last couple of days before the first show, we rehearse together with the crew members and run through the live set and the show, and do minor changes. Sometimes we swap one song to another, or we do changes like that. But it's basically just playing through the set and get ready. I don't think any of us like to rehearse too much. We just, we know. If there's no like new songs that we need to rehearse on, we basically know all the old songs already. It's etched into our DNA ladders, So it's kind of easy, though, I think.
Yeah, it's that's very good. What's it like with the generational thing now? Have you got young people right through to people in the 70s and 80s coming along?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's kind of interesting when you're like watching the audience out from where I'm sitting on stage. The ones closest to the to the safe barrier are usually the youngest ones. Like you see teenagers, and then further away as you go further back, the ages get higher and higher. So it's fantastic to see that we still attract the young people, and they are singing along to our songs, and they know all the words, and it's like a never-ending stream of joy and life that you are being exposed to when you play to this audience, because it's renewing itself, and new generations are picking up, and it's fantastic, to see that our music, the music that we made like almost 40 years ago, still is as emotionally, it reaches out and grabs hold of people, and the songs become part of their life and their memories and emotions. It's amazing.
Yeah, it must be amazing to see young people in the audience and they know all the words nearly as well as you do.
Yeah, and sometimes, most of the time I would say better than we do. Yeah, so it is. It's amazing, and it's another source of energy for us, and on stage, to see when young people get enthusiastic about your music, it rubs off on you. It's like getting an injection from the fountain of youth. You feel strong again, and you feel really alive, and it's amazing.
You must think to yourself, well, we've got to keep going now. We've got to keep going because they're going to keep going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you feel a certain almost like a responsibility. You don't want to let these people down, and they deserve to hear this music. And also, Europe is. The older generation of rock bands are now, some of them are on their farewell tours, and some of them have already stopped playing. So this also creates a bigger playground for us in Europe to continue doing this.
Well, this is it. That's what it needs. You've got to keep going. Can't let anybody down.
No, that's right. That's right. And I think it's also, you feel kind of a responsibility to keep going in order to show the young people, how it's done, and workman wise, how you do it. And because a lot of the young people seem to be forgetting that, or maybe they don't have it's hard for them to have a chance to see how it's done, playing a guitar on stage and facing an audience and being entertaining an audience. It's something that you have to see and have to be inspired by in order to be able to do it yourself. If you look on YouTube, or you see tons of prodigy kids that technically play their instruments like 10 times as fast, or 10 times as whatever, compared to Richie Blackmore or Jimmy Page or whatever. But they're just sitting there in the bedroom with the guitar, and playing, and they don't have a clue what it is like being on stage, or being an entertainer, or that whole live vibe, what it's about. So I think it's important that bands like Europe and other bands continue doing their thing to show the young people how it should be done.
Yeah, it's all right sitting in your bedroom behind the camera, but when you get out in front of thousands of people, it's completely different situation, isn't it? A lot of people wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly. It's interacting with people and giving of yourself in a live situation. It's very it's a different universe. You can't really imagine it unless you done it yourself. And unfortunately, I think too many of these whiz kids on YouTube would not be able to pull it through, because it's a totally different thing than they are used to or expecting.
That's true, very true. Can I ask, when you about to go on stage, do you ever have butterflies, or are you just raring to go, or how does it work?
Well, it's some kind of more of almost like being a football player and just about to enter the playground. It's more like you're really energized and ready to do your best thing. It's more like you're just on fire, sort of. It's not really. I'm not really nervous or anything, but it's definitely very emotionally. You're on the edge, and obviously you're in the zone. You're only thinking about getting out there and giving 100%. It's not room for any other thoughts or anything. It's just you and the music and the audience, sort of.
Yeah, just get out there and do it. It's the best way. You're now embarking soon on the Time Capsule tour. What can we expect from this? I know you've got quite a few dates in Europe, and you've got a few in the UK as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be about, I think, 20 shows that we're embarking on, and I'm not exactly sure how many shows we do in England, but there will be a couple of shows. I know we play 2 shows in London, and in any way, it's going to be a fantastic tour, and to be able to just the fact that we've been doing this for 40 years, 40 years, it is a long time, and that we're still here together, and we're still doing it. It's just stunning, I think. And not only that, but we have such a batch of great music that we can share to people, and it's I've been since we started planning on this 40 years anniversary tour. I've gone back to all the previous albums and just listened through the songs and just to get a sort of overall picture of the music spectrum, and it just stuns me how many great songs there are with Europe. Songs that I've forgotten about, and songs that, basically, for me at least, after we recorded an album, I don't basically listen back to the albums anymore. They just become part of your past, and it sits there like a brick in the wall, sort of. But it amazes me how many great songs we have to pick from. So I think the hardest thing for the band on this tour is to put a set list to get. We all have our personal favorites. So I guess it's going to be a lot of debating what songs we're going to be playing, because we have too much great songs to choose from.
Well, is it who chooses what you're going to play? Is it a joint decision, or does Joey decide, or how does it work?
No, no, we actually on this tour we had our manager. He had we told him put down, because I mean he's also a fan from the beginning. He's a fan of Europe from the beginning. So we told him, why don't you put your dream set list together, your songs that you would want to see. So he did, and he came up with 30 songs, and some really, like surprises and some, oh wow, would you want to hear that song live? Kind of things that we never expected. But I think that's a good way of trying to create a set list instead of just thinking within the band, and what kind of songs what favorite songs we have and so forth. Ask someone from the outside who's watching the band and who is a fan. Then you will get a more truthful sort of picture of what songs you should play or not. And I mean, we're not going to follow that set list to 100%, but it was nice to get a sort of an input from that list. So I think we're going to be discussing what songs from that list that the manager put together we're going to keep, and then we're going to add songs from our own favorites. But we're always discussing, Joey comes up with some songs, and we all come up with song ideas, and we talk about it, and some songs stick, and some other songs we just skip. So it's very much a band decision how the set list is going to be put together in the end.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's nice for somebody from the outside to say what they'd like to hear, because there must be a lot of people that come to your shows saying, well, I would have liked them to have played that one. I haven't heard that one. But
yeah, definitely. It's I mean, everyone has a favorite song or a favorite set list that they want to hear. And of course, obviously, it's impossible to please everyone, but you have to play. Obviously, you have to play the big hits and the more famous songs, obviously. But the good thing with this tour is that the show is going to be so long that we can, I guess we can cover most of the different sort of flavors and favorites of our back catalog. And you never know. We usually, when we go out on tour, in the beginning it's almost like a you try different songs out, and if this set list after 2 shows we realize that, well, maybe that song doesn't work as number 3, or we start sometimes doing minor changes during the tour. But we'll see what will happen, what will come out of it. But it's going to be a collection of the best songs that we believe and well, what we think and what we believe the audience is going to be.
Yeah, I've just been looking. You've got 8 tour dates in the UK, and you got one at Leicester at De Montfort Hall. We've already got our tickets. We shall be there, enjoying the show. You're in.
That's great.
Cardiff, Glasgow, Gateshead, Wolverhampton, Manchester, Leicester, and 2 at London. Then I believe you go out to Europe again after that, don't you?
Yeah. Well, sounds possible. Yeah. So it's great. We always loved touring in England, because it's, as I said earlier on, most of the bands that influenced us are British hard rock bands. So it's I used to say that touring in England is like coming to the cradle of rock. It's the place where it all started for us.
Well, that's it. Is there any place anywhere around the world that is one of your favourite places to tour, to play?
Well, there's been a couple of places that we played. Like in Sweden, for instance, we played the big ice hall hockey stadium in Stockholm. We played there many times now, but I mean that audience or that venue is one of the places where we used to go and watch Thin Lizzy and Deep Purple and Queen and all these bands that we were influenced by. So that was the first time we played there. It was like, wow, we are, obviously not like Deep Purple or Thin Lizzy, but we're one of the in the family now. We're one of the bunch. So the places like that. We played in Budokan in Japan, which is also another classic arena, and we played. Hammersmith Odeon, of course, in London is another, like a really, I guess you could really call that the cradle of rock, because all the bands that we listened to played at Hammersmith, and so there are certain places like that. I can't really mention one place that has been, my absolute favorite place, but places that like that. Obviously, the Royal Albert Hall we played a couple of years ago, and that's another place that really influenced us. And so it's a lot of different places.
Yeah, because you've certainly been around.
Oh yeah.
Is there any band that you've never not worked with yet that you'd really like to work with?
Well, yeah, of course. The original lineup of Thin Lizzy would have been nice to tour with, but I actually got a chance to play with Thin Lizzy as their drummer in Sweden in 2015 when they did their tour. They played in a festival in Sweden, and the regular drummer they had, Scott Travis, he was occupied with Judas Priest for that show. So, and we have the same management Europe as the new Thin Lizzy. So the manager asked me if I could step in and play drums on that show. So I said, yeah, wow, absolutely. That's a dream come true.
You wouldn't say no, would you?
That was, I mean, Thin Lizzy was one of the bands, the first bands, I think the third show, rock and roll show I went to see in 1977 after the Bad Reputation album came out. So I saw them at an outdoor venue in Stockholm, like a fun fair place. And so, I mean, even though it was just Scott Gorham left from that lineup, it was still the original or the official Thin Lizzy version existing today, and it had the Thin Lizzy logotype with a mirror kind of things on. So I was sitting there. I was sitting beneath the Thin Lizzy logotype with Scott Gorham to the left of my side, and playing Thin Lizzy songs. It was like, wow. How did... If I would have told myself when I was there in 1977, in 40 years' time, you're going to be sitting behind the drums and playing these songs, I would have, I would never believe that.
I bet you'd have thought to yourself, what am I doing here? How did I get here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was the whole show was kind of a blur.
Yeah.
I was really somewhere else.
Have you got any new music? Are you working on a new album at the moment?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just as a matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we went into the studio and started recording a new song that it's the first time since Walk the Earth, and that was in 2017, I believe. That album came out, so it's been a long time. But we went into the studio and just worked on one song to begin with, and because we wanted to have that song released prior to the 40th anniversary tour, so that was a good experience. The first piece of new music that we've been working on for more than 5 years, and that was really inspiring. You know, it's a different thing when you go on tour and you play songs that you know that you already have in your system. You know, it's a great joy to go on stage and play live and to get that live energy rush. But to be in the studio, it's a different thing. You have to use some other part of your brain and your energy and to create something new. It's really inspiring in a different way. And it was good also to feel that we still had it and we still enjoyed it, and we had a blast working together in the studio. So from what I understand, the song is going to be mixed now in the mid August, and so it's going to be out prior to the 40th anniversary tour.
We're really looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, it's a kick-ass song. It's a very up-tempo, very very catchy, and great energy in the song.
That's fantastic. Really look forward to that one.
Yeah.
I understand.
And then obviously we're going to continue working on new music after the time capsule tour ends at the end of October. So we're going to be working on new music through the winter and possibly go into the studio, well, a bit into the next year and continue creating more new songs.
Well, that'll be amazing. Really looking forward to that. I understand that you're also a radio presenter.
Yeah, that's right. I've been working for a classic rock radio station in Stockholm for, well, it's coming up to 23 years now.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Rock Classicer.
Ah.
I believe you can find it on the web, rockclassicer.se. So, you can listen to my show. I broadcast between 6 and 10 p.m.
Well, I'll have to check that one out.
Every week afternoon.
Brilliant. Well, the owner of Sound of Spitfire, his partner, she is Swedish. She comes from Gothenburg.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so we have something in common.
Absolutely. Say hello to her, and I don't know. Maybe I know her. Do you know her name?
I can't pronounce it. It's Tizzo, I believe. Zandra Tizzo.
Aha, okay. No, not a name that rings in my brain, but amazing still. Swedish radio host in an English show.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You can't beat radio, and now we've got internet radio. It's getting all around the world, and anybody can find you. Yeah,
that's great. It's amazing to just go out on the internet and you can look just search for classic rock radio stations, and you can find them all over the world, and it's a never-ending source of music and inspiration and just great fun.
Yeah, I don't think rock music will ever die. There's always something new, and everybody's into the old stuff anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so too. I think Ian Hunter sang something like, as long as rock and roll is never going to die, as long as you are, going crazy or whatever it was. But I agree with you. It's as long as there's young people coming up listening to wanting that something else than just gamings and Facebook or Instagram or something. You know, rock and roll is definitely going to go through phases. Sometimes it's going to be less important, but you know, next year it's going to be the hottest thing again. You know, it's just there. It's a part of the eternal energy.
Yeah, it will be happy because Europe are going to bring a new album out.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully the next album will come sometimes next year. Then when we assembled enough songs for a whole album.
That's right. When you stop touring and get a few minutes to spare to do it, that is.
Yeah, that's right. I think it seems like we this time around we might do it in sections rather than taking, you know, like a couple of months off to do the whole album. I think we're going to be doing maybe recording 2 or maybe 3 songs in one section, and then maybe go off touring somewhere and then take another recording session and do another 2-3 songs. Not sure. We'll see how it all is going to be coming together, but we're not. It's a new way of working and thinking for us, but we're open for it, and you know, you need to have all options ready.
Well, that's it. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can do it a piece at a time now, can't you?
Yeah, that's right. And also you can work from different parts of the world, and as long as you have internet, you can keep sending files and do a lot of work that way, which is it's really great. As long as you use it for the right way, it's a great help to be able to work over internet with the sending files and that stuff.
Well, this is it. I think we'd all be lost without it now.
Yeah, we've grown, you know, addicted to it.
Yes.
for better and for worse. But there you go.
Well, I think I'm going to let you go. I'm very pleased I had the chance to speak to you. It's been very nice talking to you, Ian.
Yeah, nice talking to you too. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to come to England and to play these time capsule